What's up, guys? Back again with another video, and this video is gonna be something that I didn't expect to do for a while, but it's all courtesy of a friend who contacted me on Facebook, actually on my Lucas Clones Customs page, which I don't really use very much right now because I'm not making a whole lot of customs that are things that I'm posting, and there's nothing that I really deem that I need to throw up on that page a lot. So on my last video, I was kind of surprised on the response that I got. I got a lot of YouTube comments, and I got even more. I kind of started like a whole discussion with all of my toy buddies on Facebook that I'm friends with and acquaintanced with. Some of them I know more than others, and a few people even shared my video around to different toy communities. So I mean, it wasn't like a viral video or anything. It was definitely got a response from the people that pay attention to those sort of things. One of the things that I said in the video was about my plans for upcoming, future collecting, and I said as far as Star Wars goes, I'm not really collecting Star Wars, and it's pretty true. I do still collect the Clone Troopers because they're my favorite characters. They always have been. I said that last video. I'm not going to get into all that. There have been a minimal few releases of Clone Troopers in the Black Series that I have collected. For instance, I've got the 212th Black Series clone. I didn't bother doing a review on this guy because he's kind of just the regular white clone repainted with green, so there's not much to review there. And then I also got, and I didn't review him, although I probably should, because he's something a little bit different enough to warrant perhaps a review. I did post on Facebook a little bit about him, but maybe I'll review him. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. New helmet, that's one thing that's new on him. Shoulder pad thing, sort of. So, and then the other Black Series Clone Trooper, I don't even know if I got all of them, but this one was sent to me by my buddy Dan Kosa. He got the droid pack, 7-pack or whatever it was, and he didn't want the clone because he doesn't really like clones, so he knew I liked him, and it was really the only way for me to get this guy, so I have the 212th Trooper, which actually, this guy's pretty cool. I like him. One thing though about these Black Series figures is there's a lot of quality control issues with the paint apps and things. Anyhow, this review today, I've already rambled for 4 minutes, which means I'm gonna have editing to do, is on Commander Wolffe. This was sent to me by Frank Nash, who watched my video, and I guess these started popping up in his area, and I've been checking Toys R Us, which is really the only place to check because Walmart doesn't really refresh their Star Wars stuff except for the crappy 5 POS figures. They get those in and out. Same thing with Target. I don't even go to Target anymore to look for toys except for those Elite Force figures, those knockoff G.I. Joes, which have some really good accessories that I want. But he sent this to me, and thank you for that, by the way, Frank. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna have to try to think of a way to sort of do something nice for you in return. I'll figure that out. So this is the Commander Wolffe, and I do have the packaging. I'm not going to talk about it. I know a lot of people on these toy reviews like to talk about the packaging. It's standard Black Series fare. It's pretty boring if you ask me. I mean, it's kind of neat, sleek, black and silver, but there's no pictures of the other figures on the back, which I always liked. Kind of a lame, I know it goes with the design of the packaging, but a lame picture. I would have liked a full color picture of Wolffe. I haven't seen, by the way, this episode of the Clone Wars. I've kind of been bitter about them canceled. I know I mentioned that in the last video, and then when they popped up on Netflix, I said I don't care. But I might go back and watch it now because it looks like it's pretty cool. So that's the packaging. Now, I'm going to tell you the things that I think that are good about this figure first, because and then I'm going to kind of rant a little bit about what's wrong with this figure. So here's the good things about this figure. The paint apps are splendid. I mean, they're really, really well done. So they took the time to make sure, at least on my copy, that the Wolffe, Commander Wolffe deco was on there pretty much flawlessly, as far as I can tell. The red triangle is a little bit off center. I don't know how well you can see that because I'm using my front facing camera on my iPhone, so it's probably not going to get it, but it's a little bit off center. Yeah, it doesn't really bother me that much, honestly. But the Wolffe here, it's really nice. The teeth on his breather are really good. The little forget what I think it's the 104th Battalion. Their little logo, I think that's what Wolffe's battalion is, 104th, is on there. Looks great. And what was the other thing that I thought was good? Oh, super articulated. So it's a Black Series figure, and they're overcharging for these figures now, so they would do well to at least keep them super articulated, and they have done that here. Those are the two things that I like about this figure. So he's super articulated, he's got the wrist. I know that's the thing people talk about in reviews, and I used to do it all the time too. Ankles are pretty well articulated. He's got a swivel waist. Actually, no, his waist doesn't swivel, it's his mid-torso that swivels. There's actually no joint that I can detect in here, and I'm not going to take this figure apart to try to figure that out. Swivel hips, not ball-jointed hips, but that's okay for a clone trooper, in my opinion. Ball-jointed head, blah, blah, blah. So you get the idea. Soft goods, little comma down here. That's what that's called, I believe. His belt is removable. It's got a little clip right there. I don't know why you would ever remove it, though. There's not really a reason to do that unless you're going to chop him up for customs. And if you're paying $13 or $14 for a figure to chop him up into customs, that's pretty ludicrous to me. But I could see back in the day, back in my days of heavy clone customizing, if this guy had come out and he was $8 to $10, I could see myself chopping him up and repainting this helmet, possibly. So that's the two things. Good paint apps, for the most part, super articulated. So the two good things. That's the type of quality that you would expect from Black Series figure. Now here's the real pet peeve of mine. And I've shown you some of the other Black Series figures that have all gone off of the same basic body build. This guy here, which I think is the pinnacle of Hasbro clone figures, is probably one of the best action figures they've ever made, especially when it comes to clones. And this is ARC Trooper Commander, is what he was titled way back in. I think this guy came out is either 2010 or 2011, but I think it was 2010. ARC Trooper Commander, that we all know is Captain Fordo from the original animated Clone Wars series, the micro series that was on Cartoon Network, 5 to 10 minute short stories. The very first one was featured the clones and ARC Trooper Commander Captain Fordo, who then reprises his role a couple more times later on in that series. And that episode, I've said many times on the podcast, Custom Action Figure News. We've discussed it ad nauseum. As soon as I saw it, captured my imagination. That's what made me fall in love with clones. That's why I'm such a huge clone collector right now. I think it's just called Clone Troopers or something like that, or Clone Commandos, or I don't know what they call it. It's not, don't get it confused with ARC Troopers from the Clone Wars. Totally different. The animated series is what I'm talking about. This figure, when he came out, everybody wanted him. I got super lucky right when this wave came out, and this never ever happens to me. It hasn't happened to me probably since this figure came out. Went to Toys R Us. They had just gotten a case of not the Black Series, the vintage carded series of figures, which was great. Probably the best Star Wars figures that Hasbro ever made, or probably ever will make. And he was right there, right on the front. I think I was like one of the first people that I knew to get him. And all my friends were really jealous of me. Sorry, guys. So here's the deal. Enough about my little mini review of Commander Fordo, which I know I've already got a review. Look at this. Look at that. Tell me what's wrong with that. Do you see? Look at that. Back to back. What's wrong with this picture here? Now, this is a realistic style Clone Wars figure. And what that means is, I don't have the Rex yet, and I don't think I'm going to buy them. because of this. That Rex figure is terrible. The helmet is horrible, and you should not have to take a Clone Wars Rex helmet off of your Clone Wars figure, which was a crappy non-articulated figure anyhow, and put it on that to fix it. They should have the right helmet. So look at the size of his helmet there. And then while you're looking at it, realize this. There's supposed to be a normal sized human inside of all this armor. Which, by the way, he has like almost no torso, no neck, and there's a head squished inside that helmet, which looks like it would be giant and heavy. Now, that's one thing that I will say I never complained about with these figures, and people always said, oh, the helmets look too big. Well, they're not really too big. I have the toy Clone Trooper helmet, you know, the Captain Rex voice changer thing, and yeah, it's huge. It turns you into a bobblehead, but my head just fits inside of there. And I'm an adult, so keep that in mind. Look at the arms. Look at the torso. Look at the feet. Look at Wolffe's feet. Look at that. They're huge. What kind of feet does this guy have? Or does he, I mean, my gosh. Look at that. Look at his arms in relation to his torso. If you stand up and you put your arms to the side of your body, your elbows should come to the bottom of your rib cage. That's normal human proportion, okay? Look at where his elbows are in relation to this armor, which mimics his rib cage. And then look at that. Your fingertips should come mid-thigh, which is about here on him. If I put his arm down there, he can almost touch his knees. Okay? So I don't know what it is that they're trying to do with the scale on these figures. But, I mean, even another Black Series figure. Same line of toys, right? Look at that. I mean, he doesn't fit in with the rest of the collection that he's supposed to be a part of. So, that's what's wrong with him. If the scale wasn't so wonky on this, I mean, it looks like they shrunk his torso, they shrunk his head, but the legs and the arms are the correct scale. It's almost like there's two different scales here between the torso and the head and the arms and the legs. And I'm not even going to talk about his guns. I mean, they look like they're just enlarged Clone Wars blasters. Now, people complained a lot about these Clone Wars figures and their body style, but they're supposed to be an animated version of the character. You know, they're from the animated television show. This guy isn't. That's not what his deal is. He's supposed to be he's supposed to be like your stormtroopers that you have, the Commander Wolffe version. I don't have any stormtroopers right now to compare him to. All I have is clones. So I mean, that's my opinion. It kind of ruins this figure because of that, the whole scale issue. Anyhow, well, that's just what I think. I mean, you might really dig him. I don't know. I'll keep him because I like Commander Wolffe. He's my favorite clone. Wolffe. This is my custom that I made. So there he is. The clone trooper. Even the Clone Wars version is taller than the realistic version. That's kind of funny. I don't know. Anybody else noticing this about these figures? Let me know. Alright, well, that's probably going to do it. Alright, well, let me know what you think. And that's all for now. See you later.